Welcome to the Etheria TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Faiz Gouri, a lead AI engineer at Microsoft, specializing in AI-driven cybersecurity for large-scale cloud infrastructure. He works on real-time anomaly detection and threat mitigation. And he's also an active IEEE researcher who has authored influential papers on optimizing distributed systems and AI in the cloud. His work sits at the critical intersection of cutting edge artificial intelligence and enterprise level security. In this episode, we'll dive into the architecture of real time threat detection systems and the future of AI in cybersecurity. So, Faze, it's an honor to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ezekiel, for the introduction. Hi, this is Faiz Gouri. I work at Microsoft. As Ezekiel mentioned, I specialize in AI and machine learning with a pinch of cybersecurity also. My work involves mostly cloud optimization or as well, where we try to redesign some system architecture to save some cost, Azure spend and cloud cost using latest technology, for example, using machine learning. If you can save data, if you can save some spending using AI machine learning. So that's what I do.
Fantastic. So, your work sits at a fascinating intersection. A lead AI engineer at Microsoft and an IEEE researcher and also a cybersecurity expert. So, for you, what first drew you into this specific crossroads of AI and security for large scale systems?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So actually, all these things came together organically, all into intersection as part of my work at Microsoft. So is Microsoft, we work on cutting edge technologies, and security is at the core at Microsoft. So we cannot deploy anything, or we cannot deploy any code without very high security, so security is a kind of built-in feature. It's not an enhancement, it's a built-in feature across Microsoft. So from the scratch, from the very first line of code that we write, we make sure that the code is secure. And the AI, as everyone knows, Microsoft is at the forefront of the AI. And
Yeah,
right now we are at the very beginning of, what's something very big. So we want to revolutionize things and day-to-day tasks through AI, and things change so fast in the current environment. Like, I was working on something 6 months ago, but now that has changed completely. So for example, the way we interact with AI, like a year ago, it has to change completely. For example, right now we are working with AI agents. Earlier we was
hmm,
just talk about chatbots, AI
yeah,
chatbots, LLM. Now everyone is talking about AI agent, because the agents provides you a good framework and very easy to like plug and play framework, you can say, to kind of hook it up your data with MCP server. It's like model context protocol, and then you can use AI on your data. You can talk to your data basically in natural language. So that's how I came to all these things together, like, through AI and machine learning, and as well as the cybersecurity.
fantastic. So, for the engineers and architects listening, can you break down the high level architecture of a real time AI anomaly detection system? What are the key components that have to work together to go from raw telemetry data to a security alert?
So it's very subjective, and there is no fixed architecture per se, because it depends on what tools are you going to use, what cloud provider are you going to use. There are a bunch of options like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, um, and also what security protocols you want to use, what are the compliance. But in general, if I have to speak, for the real time anomaly detection, so The idea is basically you have a machine learning model which you hook it up with your data, and you ingest this data in real time. Again, it depends on the technology, but for example, you can use signal r, you can use the some pipelines to kind of ingest, or you can use some streaming, data streaming, to kind of have your model access to data in real time. You can train some model, you can train machine learning model to say, for example, if you let's say if you get a request, 100 requests from the same client from location A, and then you get another request from location B which is very far away, 1,000 miles away from what user usually requests from. That's an anomaly, right? So that you detect in
Mm.
real time and you can prevent the threat. So you would have seen something similar in, I'm not sure, but like yesterday itself, I got an email from Instagram and it says, hey, are you trying to log in from China? And if you want to click on this link to reset your password, because it looks like you're trying to reset your password from a very different location that you usually sign in from. So, and if not, then please click on this link to let us know. So this is something very, very high level example, a very good example. But there could be other example as well, for the real-time threat detection. Location is one of them. If you say, if you are seeing multiple retry attempt for password reset, that's another example. If something is, maybe they are using some automation to kind of crack down on your password. So basically, the machine learning model is trained to kind of model what are the potential threats are and how to detect them, and then you hook it up with your streaming data. So as soon as it detects some threat, it detects some pattern that it can identify, hey, this may be a threat, it can alert you through maybe incident, through a email alert or something, and then you can take action appropriately in real time.
Great. That was really, really insightful. So, moving forward, you've published IEEE papers on adaptive indexing and cost optimized cloud scheduling. So, what was the real world production problem you were trying to solve that led to this research? And how did the solution you developed get
So
implemented?
yeah, so it was I worked as an independent, researchers along with some other people. And the paper that I worked on, it's basically provide a novel adaptive indexing framework. It's
Mm,
designed to kind of optimize the performance in your, distributed databases. So because on cloud-based for cloud-based analytics, all the large organization, they use very large data sets like petabytes of data. And then if you just use a static indexing, then it may not be so optimized. If you have fixed indexing, basically, for people who are aware of indexing in database, they know what I'm talking about. But what we propose was a framework that uses a machine learning techniques to kind of analyze the historical data and then try to query the real-time query patterns, and then automatically adjust the indexing rather than having a fixed and static indexing. It find out the what the pattern is for the data access and then change the indexing strategies to kind of improve the query efficiencies using static index. Let's say you have petabytes of data and you are using some index to query this data, let's say ID or something, but then the pattern that you find out is, if you had used a different type of indexing, maybe, location, then the queries will be optimized further. So rather than having a
mm.
fixed and static indexing, if you can use the dynamic indexing based on the pattern that you have seen, that will definitely improve your performance. So I think in our example, the query performance was about 40%. There was a 40% increase in the performance. Queries ran faster, and we could obviously, if queries are running faster, that you can save some money there too. Right? You don't need to use a lot of CPU and memory resources. And I'm talking about like very high volume of data, like terabytes and petabytes of data, where even a single millisecond matters a lot.
All right. So, Faze, I am curious about the AI versus rule-based balance in cybersecurity. So, in a high-stakes environment, how do you determine what should be handled by a deterministic rule and what truly requires a probabilistic AI model?
So for the cybersecurity also, again, it's the same thing. If you can use leverage AI to kind of predict, train the AI to already known issues in the cybersecurity, and then you can train this model. It will predict in the real time, what are the challenges and what are the threats there are there. Again, people usually use AI and machine learning interchangeably, but here I'm going to use the machine learning in particular, not just the AI. But yeah, you can say it's machine learning model. So you can train your model in such a way that it will detect the threat in real time in the large scale environment. Because even a second, if you delay, for example, like yesterday there was I think AWS was down for 1 hour and it cost Amazon millions of dollars. So even 1 second of services being down will cost millions of dollars to those corporates.
Mm.
So if there was a DOS attack or some other phishing attack that you cannot tolerate, or I mean you cannot fix, then it matters a lot. So that's why having AI to kind of in real time detect what are the threats and then mitigate those in real time, that really is helpful.
All right. So, Faze, there ever been a time where, you know, the AI detection system you worked on identified a novel or surprising threats that traditional rule-based systems completely missed?
That's a good question. So my work did not work exactly with the real-time cybersecurity. I have done some research there, but not in particular with the cybersecurity, where it will obviously, if you use AI for the cybersecurity, it will definitely be better than the like traditional rule-based mechanism. But I particularly did not have hands-on experience in there, so I'm not sure. Sorry about if yeah, if I mentioned it somewhere. But yeah, usually, I mean, personally, I haven't worked on particular. Mostly, I worked in the cost optimization
Mm.
and Azure spend optimization. Yeah,
All right. All
with a
right.
pinch of cybersecurity for sure. Yeah, definitely. Because
Yeah.
as I mentioned, at Microsoft, it's a part of the core your system design.
Great. So, for the data scientists and machine learning engineers listening, what would you say is the most common data pitfall when trying to train models for production security systems that leads to, poor performance in the real world?
It's a very good question, and this is one of the challenges that currently everyone is facing in this era. And to securely train your model and to leverage AI, but also in a manner that you are compliant with all the security constraints. I'll give you an example, a very, very high level example. Let's say there's a hospital or there's a clinic and they want to leverage AI. They want to create a chatbot using LLM or through MCP server. They they have to provide the patient's data to AI. They have to hook it up with the MCP server so that patients can ask this question in natural language. For example, let's say I went to hospital, I had my blood work done, and then I got a report. So if there was a chat agent where I can ask the agent, hey, what does this high LDI mean? I got this result. My hemoglobin count is this one. What is the normal range and things like that. So if and this is what's going to happen. Every business will try to use the AI and use the chatbot there to for their customers. But here's the caveat. In this scenario, you cannot use patients' data to train AI. So you have to be very careful what data at what level you have to add to the AI, because
Hmm.
they are compliant. Also, can user can have access to one set of attributes but not whole database, right? So but AI doesn't know that at this moment. You put all the database into your AI model, so AI cannot authenticate and authorize you, authenticate you to see this particular person. Ezekiel has access to only Ezekiel data. So those are some of the challenges currently that organizations are working on, that we have the role-based access, So if Ezekiel is a patient, he can only have access to his data, not other patients' data or other data that we use in the AI. No matter how manipulate the AI agent or how you manipulate the chatbot, it should be smart enough to kind of protect the data privacy of other patients. This one such example, but yeah, the role-based access and the authentication is the very at the very core of the AI agents are nowadays.
Okay, that was a really insightful breakdown there. So, for a student or early career professional listening right now who wants to build a career in this field, so what is the one foundational skill you would tell them to master above all others?
Um, it's a very good question actually. If you're asking for one, honestly, curiosity. If I have to describe it just one word, being curious is in today's world is the main answer. If you had asked me this
Mm,
question maybe 10 years ago, I would have said, hey, if you know the programming, you're good. Or if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, hey, if you know machine learning or if you know, cloud or if you know that data analytics, then you have a good career options. But for early career people, early in career, I would going to say just be curious and learn fast. Be ready for the change because things are changing so fast in nowadays. You won't even realize if you learn something and then it will become obsolete. For example, like 3 years ago, chat gpt was in public. When they released the chat gpt and other llm models, nobody would have thought that in 3 years we'll be at this point where you can automate certain things. Nobody would have thought about the mcp server where you can ask natural language question using your own data, and it will be very simple. Now you can even do the vibe coding, so you don't have to be database any coding expert or programmer. You can just vibe code any simple app or game, anything. Just ask the llm agent, hey, I want to design a website, and it'll do it for you on everything like front end, back end, database hookup. Everything will be taken care of. So things are moving fast, so just be curious and just learn continuously. Don't stop learning. And yeah, if I have to go back in time and give a piece of advice to myself, when had started my career, I would say this advice, ironically, this advice is not useful in today's world, but still, take as many notes as you want, because what happens is when you learn something, it stays in your mind for some time, but you are eventually will forget almost 75% of the things, in 6 months basically. If you don't brush it up, if you don't continue working on some system, the same thing, then you will definitely forget it because you learn so many different things every day. So take notes of things and it will definitely help. So for example, early in my career, let's say I was working on a code, part of a code, and I got some issue. I fixed that, or I asked some senior member of my team or the subject matter expert, how to resolve these things. They will provide me a good example. They will provide me a solution. And then what I did was I just, fixed the issue and then forgot about it. I did not make notes of what was the issue, how did we can fix it, how did we fix it. So what happens is about 8 or 9 months later, I got a something similar, and then I was clueless, like how did we fix this thing? So if I had made notes of those things, and since then I started making notes on everything, everything we learn new, because it stays in your mind and you feel like, hey, I know this thing, so why should I note it down? I know it this thing, I know this very simple thing. But what happens is over the period of time when you learn new things, those memory vanishes. So you have to take notes, and it's still useful in today's world also, although we still have like copilot and chat gpt, which can answer any of the technical questions, but still there are some internal tools and technology which you and the subject matter experts only know. So make notes of everything. Whenever you learn something, make notes. I think this is the piece of advice I would give to myself.
all right, great piece of advice, I'd say. So, A, what gives you the most hope about the potential of artificial intelligence? to create a more secure digital future?
So to create a more secure digital future, definitely can AI is going to be the forefront of creating the future. It is in present, not in the future itself. But to have data secure is very essential, and it should be part of the core design of any of the AI model that anyone is generating or anyone trying to build. It's a make and break kind of situation also. If you miss something, it can be a very big blunder also. So you have to be very cautious about working with AI, have to be very cautious for the data security, because one single mistake can be disastrous.
In your work, which bridges foundational research, practical engineering, and securing global infrastructure, what does the word innovation truly mean to you?
It's very subjective, but the word innovation means to me that building something concrete and novel, and trying to solve a problem. It cannot be like very novel idea, like completely new, which nobody has ever used. But you can take inspiration from other systems and then leverage this. You can learn from different systems and then make unique model or make unique tools and technologies that will solve unique problems. So the word innovation means to me that you're building something new that hasn't built before, but the inspiration is not new. Basically, you can take inspiration from other existing system and then use them, club them together towards the system and make something very useful and unique.
Interesting. Okay, so this has been a really insightful conversation. Finally, for our listeners who want to follow your work and learn more from your insights, so where is the best place for them to go find you or connect with you? And also, what's your call to action for our listeners today?
You can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm very active. And you can find my work there too. And you can connect me on LinkedIn or follow me on the LinkedIn to get connected.
Right, right. Dave, it's been a really insightful and educating uh, conversation with you today, and I am totally excited.
It was very nice speaking with you, Ezekiel. It was really interesting to learn about you and be on this podcast. So thank you so much for inviting me here.